Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Olivia Harbin.
And I'm Sierra Edwards. Here are some of the stories we're following this afternoon from the OTR newsroom. People in much of the country marked the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation yesterday. It's a day to honor survivors of the residential school system. In Toronto's Nathan Phillips Square, a new Indigenous spirit garden was unveiled as people gathered to mark the solemn occasion. Not present were students from the Toronto District School Board.
As you recall, last week, we ran a story about the TDSB and its response to a school field trip that turned into a how-to on political activism. This week, the TDSB found itself in hot water again, when the board told families that no students would be allowed to attend events for Truth and Reconciliation Day. At a special meeting last Wednesday, the TDSB said educators are expected to uphold the Ontario curriculum without attending marches, rallies, or protests. Following last week's events, the school board is still awaiting recommendations from the Ministry of Education. The board has requested an answer by December 1st.
The Finch West LRT is ready to go. Sort of. The stations are good to go, but the trains, the drivers, not so much. Here's Nicole with the story.
Construction for the Finch West LRT is finally complete, but no opening date has been released, leaving transit riders wondering how much longer they will have to wait until it actually opens.
With all the construction and, delays, traffic, it's kind of a disservice to the public to not have an actual, at least, release range.
A news release from the Ontario government confirmed all stops and stations are ready for testing. It's set to run from Humber College to Finch West Station, with a total of 18 stops spanning 11 kilometers. A spokesperson from Metrolinx told On the Record that TTC training has been underway since July of this year. Trials and commissioning work will continue, ensuring the line is safe and reliable for customers, which will determine an opening date. While this LRT promises to improve the ridership along Finch Avenue West, Carlos White-Chacon hopes the years of delays from construction will finally be worth it.
Before the LRT was even in production, I could get to school in 20 minutes. When the construction first started, it takes me an hour. I had to find a whole new route. So I'm sure for a bunch of other students, they had to do the exact same thing.
Test trains have been up and running, but so far, it'll take some time before the Finch West LRT starts taking on passengers.
For On the Record News, I'm Nicole Lim.
Ontario's minimum wage went up today from $16.55 an hour to $17.20. That's good news for more than 900,000 workers across the province. And it puts Ontario in second place across Canada. Only in BC is the minimum wage higher at $17.40.
There were two separate homicides in the city overnight. The first was in North York, in a plaza near Lawrence Avenue West and Allen Road. The victim was found with gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead after being rushed to hospital. The second homicide was a stabbing. It happened 20 minutes later in the area of Jane Street and St. Clair Avenue West. That victim was pronounced dead at the scene. Police have not provided information on the victims or potential suspects.
McMaster Children's Hospital in Hamilton will resume tonsil and adenoid surgeries next week. Those surgeries were suspended almost 4 months ago after 2 children died following their procedures. Hamilton Health Sciences said a panel of independent health experts have completed a review of the hospital's ear, nose, and throat program and found no issues.
Now, let's have a look at some of the other stories we're working on this week. Standing by live in the newsroom is producer Krista Shepard. Krista, what have you got for us?
Thanks, Sierra. Today, unbeknownst to most, is National Seniors Day. And our reporter Kira Osborne, not a senior, is at a rally over on University Avenue. The Seniors for Climate Rally. It's one of 75 such gatherings across the country. Kira tells us the seniors' rallying cry is "Later is too late," in response to the climate crisis. Young and old are gathering as we speak. They're going to march over to the nearby Church of the Holy Trinity behind the Eaton Centre to listen to speakers. The highlight is bound to be a flash mob dance performed by the seniors. Kira will be there for all of it, and her story will reach our website later this week. Our reporter Selena Chugani asked, Is it even possible to be an international student at this point? She's chasing a story about the significant new constraints on international students and their access to work visas. Selena will be talking to international students who are unable to work legally as a result. She's also going to talk to people at TMU's International Student Support Center right here on campus. For more on this story, check back on the OTR website for Selena's coverage. Our reporter Dima Mironov is working on a story about the Grassy Narrows protest. Dima is actually here with me in the newsroom. Dima, tell me about your story.
Well, Krista, it involves the Esab-Pisha-Siwagong First Nation. They're protesting the fact that their water supplies had unsafe levels of mercury for decades. It's been over 50 years since a chemicals company dumped 9,000 tons of mercury into the English Wabigoon River system. The cleanup still isn't complete. A couple of weeks ago, hundreds of people from various First Nations communities took to the streets, angry that an $85 million plan tabled by the Wynne government 7 years ago is still only in the research phase. One of the protesters that day told me, "All of us have mercury. We've been born with mercury. Our parents ate fresh, and later we found mercury in our water." Krista, I'll have that up on the website by tomorrow.
Thanks, Dima. We'll look forward to seeing this story. And don't forget about our podcast. This week, our reporters are asking about sex in 2024. Listen and learn about generational differences in hookup culture between TMU students and their parents. Be sure to check out ontherecordnews.ca for this week's podcast and other upcoming stories. That's it from the OTR newsroom. Back to you, Olivia and Sierra, in the studio.
Turning now to sports. In the world of professional basketball, tributes are pouring in for Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo. He died yesterday at age 58 of brain cancer. Mutombo had been a powerful defensive player for nearly 2 decades, notably with the Denver Nuggets and the Atlanta Hawks. He won Defensive Player of the Year 4 times. After he retired as a player, he established a charitable foundation to improve the quality of life for people in his home country of Congo. Toronto Raptors president Masai Ujiri was in tears when he spoke publicly about the death of his friend. He said Mutombo made us who we are. Now, with other stories in sports this week, we go to reporter Emily Zhang.
Thanks. Canadian swimming star Maggie McNeil is retiring. She's just 24 years old. McNeil is a 3-time Olympic medalist and she has held multiple world records. She shared the news of her retirement on social media. The London, Ontario native expressed her gratitude. "Anyone who I crossed paths with never ever told me I couldn't achieve my goal of going to the Olympics. It's so surreal to be able to say I'm a 2-time Olympian." Although McNeil did not win any medals in Paris this past summer, she won gold in Tokyo in the Games of 2020 in the 100-meter butterfly. And this year, she had more than merely the Olympics on her plate. She also completed her master's degree in sports management at a university in the US. Now, she has plans to attend law school in an undisclosed location. Turning now to golf. For the 13th time in 15 meetings, the U.S. has won the President's Cup competition, which took place this year in Canada at the Royal Montreal Golf Club. The biennial competition pits a U.S. team against a side made up of leading international golfers from various nations. This year's all-comers side was led by Canadian legend Mike Weir. American Keegan Bradley defeated South Korea's Si-woo Kim, clinching the 15.5 points needed by the U.S. to win overall. Even though by then a U.S. victory was a foregone conclusion, there were still 5 matches left to play out. Among the highlights, Canada's Corey Connors, who earned a 5-3 win over his American counterpart, Tony Finau. The next President's Cup will take place in the U.S. in 2026. And now, excitement in women's rugby qualifying tournaments for next year's World Championships are unfolding in 3 regions around the world, one of them being Canada. Many of the nations playing have already qualified, but not all. It's known as the WXV5 tournament, shorthand for Women's 15s, meaning 15 players on each side. Canada's team opened the tournament with a dominant 46-24 win over France on Sunday at BC Place in Vancouver. The team is led by Captain Thaisa Brukaboom, who is the country's most capped women's player. She hopes to carry the momentum from the recent Olympic success of the women's rugby sevens, who won silver in Paris. The WXV is a three-tiered competition featuring top teams including Canada, New Zealand, and England. Canada is set to face against Ireland in their next match this Saturday at Langley's Event Centre. As the tournament progresses, fans can look forward to unique styles of play from each team, making for an exciting series of matches. With On the Record News Sports, I'm Emily Zhang. Back to you, Olivia and Sierra.
We're now nearly a month into the school year, and for some students, feelings of stress are as much a part of the fall landscape as the changing leaves. Coping strategies are many. Take a hot bath, cuddle with your pet, or go for a walk. Katie Bell has the story of some graduate students who are managing stress through painting.
Through the ages, people have turned to art to express themselves. There's nothing new about the expression of emotional turmoil through art. Nor is art therapy a new approach. Through the centuries, people have sought solace in the pursuit of art, be it painting, sculptures, or any other form. This fall at TMU, there's a new outlet for anxious students, specifically graduate students. It's called the Grad Art Hive. It was started by Simone Cote. She graduated from the sociology program at TMU in 2018. During her studies, she noticed her peers were experiencing anxiety brought on by the specific demands of graduate studies, be it grant applications, conflicts with advisors, or any of the other stressors of graduate life.
There's a lot of pressures and mental health concerns, for all post-secondary students, really, but there's some special concerns, for grad students, just in terms of the weights of those stress and those pressures.
Sessions take place twice a month. At this one, stressed out grad students are painting stuff. Tote bags, shoulder bags, anything you can carry books in. And they're grabbing a snack at the same time. As they're doing these things, there's always a trained support worker alongside to answer questions or just talk about mental health and well-being. Cote says it's a chance for anxious students to relax and also to meet other people they might not see outside their own program. Dave Cho is a registered art therapist, and he works at the Toronto Art Therapy Institute.
Using imagery, color, the art-making process, thoughts, feelings, personal experiences can be expressed that they're otherwise pretty difficult to articulate or kind of understand.
Organizers of the Art Hive plan to hold sessions twice a month for the rest of the academic year. Their website currently lists everything coming up in the next few weeks. The next session is pouring acrylic paint. I'm all ready for that. After that, a Halloween vibe. Paint your own mini pumpkin. For On the Record News, I'm Katie Bell.
And now let's turn to Abbie North for the latest in entertainment news.
Thanks. Good news for you comedy fans, SNL is back, and Saturday marked the show's 50th season. The show covered just what you'd expect: Harrison Trump, Baby Hippo Moodang, and there was a musical performance from Jelly Roll. But one of the highlights had to be Maya Rudolph and her updated impression of Kamala Harris. Viewers first saw Rudolph playing Harris in 2019. That was the year Harris ran unsuccessfully for U.S. president. Since then, Rudolph's impression has almost cast her as Harris's twin, and it's on the way to becoming a comedy legend. Two cast members from last season haven't returned, Punky Johnston and Molly Kearney, but there are three new arrivals: Ashley Padilla, Emil Joachim, and Jane Wickley, all of whom got good reviews. And familiar faces are back this season: Kenan Thompson and Bowen Yang, just to name two of my faves. And for all of Gaga's monsters out there, the pop star just released a new album titled Harley Quinn. It's a companion to Todd Phillips' new Joker movie, Joker Folie et Deux, inspired by Gaga's character. The singer said she wasn't quite done playing the part. So what's different with this new sound? Well, the album can't be pinned down to a single genre. Over 13 tracks, Gaga interprets classics like Get Happy and That's Life by adding a modern twist. She blends covers and original tunes ranging from blues to funks, a similar journey to the multiple personas Gaga herself has taken on over the years. And Canadian rapper Kenan is facing charges of sexual assault. The alleged assault happened during the Quebec City Summer Festival, Festival de Été de Québec, in 2010. The identity of the alleged victim is protected. They were 29 at the time. The charges were filed at the courthouse in Quebec City, and according to Radio Canada, the hearing in this case has been set for next April. The rapper's most famous song, Waving Flag, was the anthem of the 2010 World Cup. It played endlessly that entire summer and beyond and brought Keenan massive fame. And that's all for your entertainment news this week. I'm Abbie North. Back to you in the studio, Olivia and Sierra.
Finally, in today's news, here on campus, if you're in the right place at the right time, you might catch sight of something a bit unusual and pretty intriguing. Here's OTR reporter Mehmet Oner with the story of the man on the rock.
It's an otherwise ordinary fall day on campus, but something unusual catches the eye. Someone sits motionless on one of the giant rocks by the pond at Victoria and Gould. Is this a silent protest? Is it performance art? Or perhaps meditation? A student passing by has a guess.
He's probably engaging in some sort of, like a meditational practice.
Best way to find out, ask him.
I was sitting down, meditating, trying to get a feel of the world, you could say.
What kind of meditation is it?
Watching things, like watching, for example, animals, things that walk on the ground, things that are flying, things that are cute, for example, like the beauty of nature, things like that, yeah.
So, during the meditation, you are mostly watching or listening?
I'm mostly thinking.
What do you think?
Think about like life itself, creation, myself, the state of others, the state of, for example, a bird. I see a bird, I try to think what it's imagining, what it's thinking.
Adrienne David teaches mindfulness meditation. She says meditating for just 5 minutes a day can have more impact than doing it for 2 hours a week.
You can do something like when you're brushing your teeth, use your non-dominant hand and just be aware of how much more you're sensing the whole experience of brushing your teeth. Breathing techniques are a wonderful way to decompress and to de-stress. And there's something called box breathing. Inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 4 counts, exhaling for 4 counts, and holding for 4 counts. And even in just a few rounds of that, if you're in a state of like, stress, where your sympathetic nervous system has been activated, breathing that way will bring you back down to a place of regulation.
Why did you prefer here to make it?
I don't know, I just like the spot. It sounded like a good rock.
Why do you think it's a good rock?
I'm not sure. It's like a flat rock, a good rock to sit on, I guess.
So if you are feeling overwhelmed by exams or assignments, Mohammed's Rocks has plenty of space for you. Mehmet Oner, On the Record News.
And that's all for OTR News this Tuesday, October 1st. I'm Olivia Harbin.
And I'm Sierra Edwards. Join us for On the Record next week as we bring you the latest stories from our newsroom.
And for the latest 24/7, visit our website, ontherecordnews.ca. Have a great day.